Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to clean a carburetor. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so if you start doing this to your carburetor and you mess up something completely, please don't blame me, it's not my fault. Alright, first off, I'd like to show you a carburetor from a Ford 6-cylinder. So it's a double barrel carburetor, and it's a downdraft style, so the air comes in from the top and goes to the bottom. Now these are all downdraft style carburetors off of trucks. Here's another Ford from a mid-50s, early 50s Ford. And here are two carburetors from Land Rover series trucks. You see, they're all the same style, but they're all slightly different. This is a Solex off of earlier series Land Rovers. And this is the carburetor we're actually going to be cleaning. It's a Zenith. It was implemented in the mid-60s. And we're going to take it apart, and we're actually going to put it on the tractor I was discussing earlier. We're going to take off the top bolts that connect the top portion of the carburetor to the bowl. So we're going to take off these bolts right here. So on this carburetor, there were 4 bolts to hold the bowl on. Now, a good idea what you're going to want to do while cleaning carb or doing any type of disassembly is you're going to want a bucket so you can just toss your bolts in there so don't lose them, because it's going to be highly impossible to find any of these replacement parts on your carburetor. So keep track of them, keep them in a nice little bucket. It'll make your life a lot easier. So we're going to remove the connecting pins that connect the throttle to the choke. This is specifically for this carburetor, and by removing that, it allows us to split the upper and lower portions. Alright, now that you've taken out all the bolts and you cracked that seal off, you're going to pull off the top portion, and we're going to have 2 portions here. This one's the bowl portion. We're not going to need that for now. What we're going to focus on is the portion above the bowl. Now you see here, we have a couple of main components here. We have the main jet, this one right here. We have the pilot jet over here. We have the float bowls, and there's a needle and seat down there underneath the float bowls. First thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take out this pin that's removing the float bowls. Some carburetors will have it embedded, some will be sticking out, but they'll all have this pin, and you'll remove this pin, and then you'll remove the floats. Now at this point, you're going to have a carburetor that looks similar to this. You're going to have a couple of portions that are exposed. You're going to have the needle and seat exposed. You're going to have both the jets exposed. And now what you're going to want to do is if you take off the bowl, sometimes there'll be a spring connected to the needle in the seat. You're going to want to take out that seat. And this one's kind of gravity fed, so we're going to just plop it off like that. There's our needle. Alright. So we're going to put that in our bucket with our float. We're going to continue on with the rest of our carburetor. Next, you're going to want to take off the fuel jets. So the first one we have here, you're just going to need a screwdriver. And most carburetors will have a screwdriver type system where you just unscrew the fuel jets and they should come right out. See, there's our main jet. Then our pilot jet. We're going to need a little smaller screwdriver. We'll be back with that. Alright, now with the proper size screwdriver, you're going to want to get into that embedded pilot jet and carefully turn it out. Be very careful with these jets, because once you strip them, you're going to have a difficult time putting them back and removing them again. So there's our pilot jet. Tiny little thing. Don't lose these. If you lose them, you are going to have difficulty getting them back. Next, we're going to want to take out the needle seat. That's this little bolt portion right here. You can take a wrench and undo that. You can use a socket, but in this case I didn't have enough space for a socket, so I'm going to use a wrench. And there is our needle seat. Don't forget that little washer that came with it. Pop that in our bucket. Alright, now we're going to take this portion, we're going to put it aside for now. We're going to grab ourselves some carb cleaner. Now, there are other products that work just as well as carb cleaners. Some of them work a little bit better, such as Quick Start. Quick Start works pretty damn good at cleaning out carburetors. One thing is the residue is going to be very dusty. Another thing that works pretty well is diesel fuel. We're going to take a bucket, we're going to take our carb cleaner, we're going to put it in the bucket. A little bit, not too much. We're going to take our main jet and our pilot jet. We're going to throw them into the carb cleaner for now. Now here's a quick note. Be very careful when cleaning your needles and seats. Depending on the carb cleaner that you're using, you may oxidize them. And if there's any rubber on the needle, like this portion that is brass right here, on the tip of the needle, if it's rubber, you don't want to throw that in carb cleaner. This one is fine, so we'll just chuck that in there. Chuck that in there too. Leave that for now. Alright, next thing you're going to want to do while those jets are soaking a bit is take a small paintbrush, dip them in your carb cleaner a bit, and get into your bowl. Remember that portion we put away earlier? You want to clean out the inside of the bowl. This one's pretty clean, but you're going to want to make sure you get all that grunge out of there. Get into any portion that looks dirty, even if it's not necessarily onto the bowl. So even in there, a little bit in there. Take our butterfly valve, clean that up a little bit, brush it on a bit. Then once you got carb cleaner on pretty much everything you can think of, grab some compressed air. Give that a spray. It's going to get kind of loud. Now this next portion you could do after or before you clean the bowl. You're going to want to look for any little orifices inside of your carburetor. So you've got quite a few of them. Now let's look at the other one. Got a lot of these little holes all over the place. We're going to want to make sure we get every single one of them with a bit of carb cleaner. Get right into those holes. Not too much.
What are you doing?
Now that we've got everything covered up in carburetor cleaner, we're going to take our compressed air again. We're going to blow through every single one of those orifices. Make sure, especially the pilot jet and the main jet, make sure those are nice and blown through. This might not always work for cleaning, but it's a good place to start. Alright, this is also a good time to pull off your mixture screw. That'll be located usually down the body of your carburetor. It doesn't usually have a specific side or a specific location, but you're going to want to find it. There's usually one screw that's just sticking out. That'll be your mixture screw. Sometimes. Alright, and take that mixture screw and chuck it in our carb cleaner as well. Get a little bit of carb cleaner inside of that mixture. Right there. Good. Excellent. Now blow through everything with some compressed air. There's where our mixture screw was. Remember that carb cleaner we threw all those pilot jets into earlier? Well, now we can take those out. All of our little pieces.
Before I had them in. And now.
And we go ahead and we take each one of those and we blow through them with a little bit of air. Make sure not to blow away any of your jets. There's our pilot jet. There's the main jet. Get that blow through with a bit of air. And the rest of them as well. Now you may find that after a good carb cleaning, your jets are still a little bit dirty. Here's where a good wire brush comes in. You're going to want one of these things. Wire brush. Or something with fine little wires onto it. Take one of those bits. Clip one off. Now take that wire and be very careful here, because this is where you can really damage your carbs. Take that wire and take your jets and very carefully, I don't know if you can see there, so you just put it into that wire inside the jet and just ever so slightly go back and forth and clean the inside with a small. Make sure not to do this with anything too hard or you may actually damage the jet. So very carefully clean out the inside of the jets. Alright, now that's pretty much basically it for a cleaning, for a pretty decent cleaning. Now you have all our components, now we're going to put them all back together. And that is pretty much it. Now, if you have any comments, questions, please don't hesitate to ask. If you feel I've missed out on anything, I appreciate any input. So, thanks for watching.